Hey, what's up, Earth? It's Spaceman Matt, here to talk about the first two episodes of Season 12 of Doctor Who, called Spymaster. And of course, spoilers are ahead, so don't say I didn't warn you. This episode has a spy theme, perhaps to capitalize on the interest of the latest James Bond film, No Time to Die, which I think features a woman agent taking over the codename designation for 007 from James Bond. Other than sharing the gender swap thing, I don't know what other association Doctor Who would have with the new movie in the James Bond franchise. Well, we learned that in a post-unit Torchwood 2020 UK, MI6 has to contact the Doctor to help with a potential alien threat. Stephen Fry, a UK actor-comedian who has some association with Doctor Who in the past, and even was at one time rumored to potentially be cast as the Doctor at one point, plays the MI6 leader called C. He has just enough time to tell them about what's happening and outfit the Doctor's fan with spy gear before getting assassinated by aliens. Apparently, spies from around the world have been having their bodies transformed by aliens after investigating an internet search engine mogul named Daniel Barton, played by actor-comedian Lenny Henry, who may be known to old-school Doctor Who fans for doing a Doctor Who parody back in the 1980s on his UK TV show. You can probably find it on YouTube, and it was included in the Curse of the Fatal Death DVD release, if I recall correctly. That was another parody of Doctor Who. So it's an interesting cast chosen for this episode. Before C dies, the Doctor talks to him about an agent she refers to as the Horizon Watcher, who she has had previous contact with and believes to be knowledgeable about extraterrestrial activity on Earth. C says the Horizon Watcher is no longer an active agent and has lost contact with him as he is off the grid. The Doctor manages, however, to contact him via a WhatsApp on her phone. While she sends Yaz and Ryan to investigate Daniel Barton, the Doctor goes to meet the Horizon Watcher in his hideout in the Australian outback to help her get to the bottom of this mystery. She finds out that he is referred to as Agent O. Yaz and Ryan get discovered by aliens while investigating Barton at his office. The aliens have discovered Agent O's place in the outback at the same time. When Yaz encounters the aliens, she is transported by them into their dimension, and then somehow they transport her to Agent O's place in the outback without any really solid explanation there. The aliens have a similar modus operandi to the Cybermen from the David Tennant episode Army of Ghosts and Doomsday, but I thought their outline kind of looked like the fourth Doctor with the big farmer's hat that he wore in his first season as Doctor Who. The one looks kind of like this. Is it Invasion of the Fourth Doctors then? I don't know. They get themselves invited to Barton, the internet mogul's birthday party, where the Doctor confronts him about the aliens and find that Barton himself is part alien. Again, I don't know if they follow through too well with that aspect of the story. Figuring the jig is up, Barton heads to the airport in his limo. The Doctor and fam, along with Agent O, decide to follow him on motorcycle to the airport. Because this is supposed to be America, Barton has a gun and starts shooting at them. The Doctor and her fearless fam continue to pursue him. I think anyone with half a brain would have called it quits when you're an easy target like that. But they manage to follow him all the way to the airport. Just managing to get to Barton's passenger jet, just as it takes off, Agent O reveals that he's actually the Master, surprised, who had taken on Agent O's identity. Outside the plane, they see Agent O's outback house in the air following the plane. Fans will realize that it's the TARDIS, but there's no real explanation given at that point. It's a bit of fan service to show that the Master has shrunk the real Agent O with his tissue compression eliminator, and he shows the little corpse, which he keeps in a matchbox as proof. The Master and Barton escape to the Master's TARDIS, with the plane's cockpit blown up by a bomb. It looks like the Doctor and the fam are doomed. I like Sacha Dhawan as the Master, but I felt he was doing too much of a John Sims imitation with that Frank Gorshin Riddler from the 1960s Batman series kooky performance. I liked the more subdued, subtle evil of Roger Delgado and Anthony Ainley's Masters. It's more menacing somehow. Also, his dialogue was kind of juvenile when the Doctor tries to analyze or disarm the bomb with her sonic screwdriver. The Master says, "Do you think I wouldn't make the bomb sonic proof?" It just sounds like a line from a cartoon or Power Rangers. I just thought it was silly. The aliens come on board before the crash, and encountering them, the Doctor somehow gets transported to their dimension. Later, it's explained that the whole dimensional teleportation thing comes from the Artron energy signatures that time travelers in the TARDIS have. Whatever, it didn't really make too much sense. In part 2, the alternative dimension, the Doctor meets up with Ada Lovelace, a famous mathematician from 1834. I'm familiar with her only because she shows up as a character in the William Gibson Bruce Sterling novel, The Difference Engine. Ada Lovelace, who was in reality mentored by Charles Babbage, who created but never really built the Difference Engine, a rudimentary computer. In this episode, he actually builds it and is demonstrating it in an invention expo in 1834. Ada has somehow visited the dimension before and thinks it is some sort of seizure. When the aliens come back to take Ada back to 1834, she gets them to take the Doctor with her. Meanwhile, the fam is back on present-day Earth, about to die in a plane crash, when Ryan notices some cleverly placed notes from the Doctor from the future, a la Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, a trick the Doctor has actually used before in the classic series in the episode Battlefield. She helps them take control of the plane using Ryan's phone to take over the plane's navigation system. They manage to land the plane only to be subjugated by Barnes' control of the internet, forcing them to become fugitives. Hey, why couldn't the Doctor have done that for poor Adric and Earthshock? Back in 1834, the Master finds the Doctor with Ada Lovelace and Charles Babbage at the Invention Expo, but he attacks attendees with his tissue compression eliminator, which thankfully no longer looks like a personal massager from the 80s era Doctor Who. Ada fights back using a Gatling gun and hand grenade from the exhibits. They later find that Charles Babbage has an animatronic figurine he calls the Silver Lady, which is actually a device the aliens now reveal to be the Cassavans used to enter our dimension. The Doctor hopes that by summoning an alien, she can get it to take her back to the 21st century. Instead, it takes her to 1943, where she encounters a woman spy, and the Master has managed to ally himself with the Nazis, tricking them into thinking he's of Teutonic complexion when he's actually South Asian. The Doctor gets the Nazis to realize that the Master is not one of them, and she then steals the Master's TARDIS to get back to the 21st century. On present-day Earth, Barton is planning to unleash his evil plan on the world using his own mother, who he has a strained relationship with, as a guinea pig. So the evil plan is to turn the Earth's population's DNA into data storage, effectively immobilizing the entire human race as we all become a giant flash drive, I guess. The Doctor manages to arrive in time to save the day. She also has taken time to rig the Cassavan Silver Lady figurines to trap the aliens forever in their own dimension. The Master, stranded in 1943, must live out the entire 77 years to make it back in time for Barton's alien invasion. The Cassavan had been spying on Earth throughout time, but the Master had convinced them to team up with Barton to destroy the Earth. The Master was then planning to eliminate the aliens. When the aliens learn of this, they strand the Master in their dimension. There's an episode coda which picks up the timeless child plot element from the previous season. The Master has somehow destroyed Gallifrey, which is really confusing. Wasn't it almost destroyed by the Daleks and shoved into a pocket universe and then somehow brought back into existence in some unexplained way just to be destroyed again by the Master? That's really weird. There's a scene where the Doctor visits Gallifrey to see for herself, but she doesn't bother to see if anyone's still alive. Maybe drop in on Leela and Andred for some more fan service, or see one of her many grandmothers or something. Just no follow through there. I just thought it was kind of just weird that they just showed her visiting the planet without actually interacting with anybody. There's all sorts of strange rumors about this, saying that Chibnall will rewrite the Time Lord Society, make it originally a matriarchy or something like that. Just another strange and unnecessary alteration to Time Lord mythology. Overall, it was an okay episode. Visually, it was fairly better than last season. Perhaps they're willing to invest more money into the show now with their HBO Max streaming deal. I like the return of the Master, but again, this might be an attempt to make the show more engaging for older fans. John Nathan Turner brought back the Master after Tom Baker left, I think because he was worried the show would suffer from Tom Baker withdrawal, since he had been the Doctor for so long. The plot didn't really gel together that well for me. I get that they were a trans-dimensional alien race observing the Earth for a very long time until the Master convinced them to invade. Just why the aliens wanted to turn humans into living hard drives was unclear, and what did they want to store on the human DNA? The time travel elements were thrown in, it seems, just to give a brief history lesson about two real-life interesting women from the past. I felt it was kind of awkwardly thrown in the story just to educate the audience about these two important ladies with not much other reason. Jodi, I think, is pretty much doing a Matt Smith imitation for a lot of her Doctor's persona. You'll see that in the routine at Barton's birthday party casino night, where she thinks she's playing Snap and not poker, when she's actually at a poker table. I like Jodi. I just wish she could be more original in her performance. Ryan and Yaz are better utilized and given better dialogue in this episode. Graham was given a fair share of dialogue as well and was entertaining as usual. Well, there's some decent fan service with the Master having his tissue compression eliminator back. They did make a mistake. The Doctor retrieves Ryan from Barton's offices. We see her TARDIS inside Agent O's house, which is really the Master's TARDIS in disguise. We don't know that yet at that point. From two classic Doctor Who episodes, Time Monster and Logopolis, having one TARDIS inside the other can be very problematic, making it possible to exit TARDIS into the regular 3D world, among other problems. At least the cloister bell should have sounded for that one. Fan service aside, I think this episode was an improvement over last season, but not by much. Well, that's all for now. I'll see you next time. Please like and subscribe to my channel. Bye.
Subscribe to Spaceman Matt's Sci-Fi vlog today. The fate of the world depends on it, I guess.